90% of our lives, we actually go through life breathing in our chest, and we don't even realize it. Pulling the breath down into the stomach sends the signal to the brain that the body is safe, and we start to relax. That then signals the amygdala in the brain not to fire the cortisol and the fight-flight syndrome anymore, which means that we start to kind of relax. We have less adrenaline. And when we have less adrenaline in the body, the brain will start to actually function because we are not on high alert anymore. At that moment, you gain clarity. You gain peace.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of More Clients, Less Effort. Today I am joined by the amazing Dharma Funder. Dharma is a sought-after transformationalist and keynote speaker who has guided over 700 women and men to reclaim their confidence, build self-trust, and stand in their power. Known for her authenticity and life-changing strategies, Dharma inspires audiences to move beyond anxiety and self-doubt to embrace resilience and inner strength. Her unique approach is rooted in her own incredible journey from overcoming childhood abuse, emotional trauma, and the paralyzing effects of anxiety. From surviving adversity to becoming an empowered business owner, Dharma embodies the resilience code that she teaches. Dharma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell me about some of those things. If you're comfortable sharing, let's drill into the trauma that you've overcome.
Some of the trauma that I overcame, what you're listing is really only the highlights. We're talking about sexual abuse growing up until the age of about 9. I was raped when I was 12, hospitalized in intensive care for about a week, and then emancipated with the age of 15 because the government didn't want to put me back home. Based on the stuff that I experienced growing up, I kept repeating some of these patterns and getting myself into abusive relationships, and really kind of got to a point in my life where I also got married to somebody who was really abusive, and we were married for less than 8 weeks. And on Martin Luther King Day, I got on the phone and I found my way to a shelter, and that was the beginning, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, we do see, I guess, these patterns of childhood trauma and behavior kind of repeated in our choices. Do you think people consciously seek those out because that's the thing they know?
It's not conscious. It's actually an unconscious behavioral pattern because it makes us feel safe. We don't know what something else would feel like. So when we're put out into the world, for example, with my current husband, it took me 2 years to understand and learn that I was safe and that he had no malice intention with any of the behaviors that he would do. We would have a joke at one point early on in the relationship, and he was just jokingly that put his fingers on my mouth, and I completely freaked out. And that was just my nervous system responding.
It's the kind of the predictive pattern to go, when that happens, this happens.
Yes, it is stored in my nervous system. When I would smell cigarette smoke, I would be on alert because when I got raped, he would literally hold my hand and his hands would be smelling of cigarette smoke. That to me left an imprint in my nervous system, and I would be on fight, flight, ready to respond and run whenever that would come about. So it's not something that we do intentionally. It's just that we keep ending up, it's like, why do I keep doing this?
It's just that this is what I'm familiar with. So this is what I will, as you said, unconsciously look for and repeat in terms of behavior.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting one when we look at the choices we make, often rooted in our childhood and our childhood things. I've sort of been reflecting on this a little bit lately myself. It's like, why do I arrive at where I am now? And where does that come from? What is the story that I've told myself? Like, we couldn't change the event, right? And you were right, can't change that, right? But what we can change is the narrative and story that we tell ourselves post that. But it's a very, very difficult thing to do without assistance. And it's even a harder thing to recognize what is that pattern of behavior that I keep repeating without having someone almost hold up a mirror to you or be in a reflective space.
True.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You're about to say.
It's one of those things where we start to kind of doubt our own behavior and we start asking ourselves, why do I keep doing this? You can go to therapy and you can start talking about it and you will become aware of what it is that you're doing. So you have this repetitive pattern, you repeat the narrative, and you may be able to shift the narrative, but the experience and the emotion is still stored within your physical body. It does not change how you will respond. So we keep repeating this narrative within our mind, but it doesn't change how the nervous system shows up. And that's where I come in, because what I do is that without you having to relive the entire narrative, I will ask you, where are you feeling it? Where's the feeling that you have? Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter about the story, but what is the feeling? And that's giving you the opportunity to acknowledge. For example, when I was raped and I had to go through the court, I was like, why am I the one who's being judged? Why am I being told that I should have been different and I should have done different? It is never your fault. No is a no. Does not give anybody the right to mistreat, disrespect, or not be nice. And having the opportunity to acknowledge without reliving the trauma allowed me to, oh, so I was right. I did have the rights, and get over the blame, the judgment, the guilt, all of those thoughts that we're supposed to have with an experience, and allow myself to, I am okay.
What is trauma?
Trauma is, depending upon where you're at in your life, it can be an imprint, it can be an experience, and it will be different from person to person. So my trauma, my experience for somebody else can be a completely different experience. So trauma can be something that I am experiencing. It can be a memory, and the memory and the narrative may not even be true. It can be my own personal lie, but it doesn't matter. So trauma, we can be philosophical, we can become scientific, we can become neurological, and we can talk about all of those different parameters, psychology, neuroscience, and we can talk about all of this if you want to. But fundamentally, trauma is how we experience something in our lives that is making us shift to make sure that we don't repeat that experience, no matter what it is. It can be me being slapped over the hand. It can be somebody telling you, oh, you're stupid, and you want to make sure that that never happens again because you want to fit in, and it becomes a traumatic experience. So it can have a lot of levels to where it fits into to your life. So trauma can be a lot of different things, depending upon how you want to analyze it.
Why don't people, when they've got those triggers, look to transform or move away from those triggers?
Because they don't know how to. Most of us don't know how to. If we're taught as children that it doesn't necessarily need to be a negative experience to make a mistake, this is where it all starts, is that when you grow up, you never think twice about learning how to walk. You get up and you just do it again. You fall down and you get back up. You learned how to speak. You learned how to eat. But you never ever doubted how to do it. You just did it, and it was a positive experience. As we go through life, that is when we start to be taught, no, don't do that. You should be doing it this way. And we are being told how to do different things. So we do it to fit in. So we break our own true sense, which is the resilience that we're innately born with, to fit in. So even though we want to try and stay true to ourselves because of the environment, we want to fit in. We keep telling, no. So we teach our nervous system that it is okay to continue doing this.
Does that make no one of the most dangerous words that we can use as parents with our children? Because I was reflecting on this, you saying that when I moved into my current house, and my son would have been about 6 or 7 years old, I think. And it's quite an unusual property, and it's got 10 external doors. And one Saturday, my now ex-wife was out doing some real estate-y stuff that she did, and I was in the office talking with a client, and she came home and my son had gone missing from the house, and back and forth. But sure enough, we couldn't find him. Drove around the neighborhood, couldn't find him, called the friends, couldn't find him there, and so on. I'm like, oops. To say the least, I was going, oops, I've lost my only child from from the house. And eventually he came home skipping through the front gate with a pocket full of coins. And it was like $20 or something. I can't remember how much it was. And my first instinct was to say, no, don't ever do that again. But through conversation, we actually found out that he had been selling the rubber band bracelets that were quite popular at the time called loom bands. He'd gone doing door-to-door sales to sell loom bands to raise money for a charity that he saw on television.
Wow.
All right. And my first instinct would have said no, which he got, well, I can't go out anymore. I can't pursue this sort of entrepreneurial spirit, rather than saying, well, hey, look, there's a better way to do this objective, right? So yes, you can do it, but do it differently. I think as parents, we've been taught, I mean, like I know for a fact that I would have been told no lots of times by my parents, which as an entrepreneur, I'm like, well, is that giving me that little sense of self-doubt about the confidence and the choices that I make? Right? Is that my sort of sense of trauma? Not as traumatic, but trauma nonetheless. And it's actually, as you say, imprinted on my nervous system unconsciously, decisions and how I make decisions and how I approach life.
Yes. And we do it unintentionally to our children. I did it to my daughter, and now she's having to deal with some of these experiences herself. And all I can say is that I did the best that I could with what I had available. By any means, I was not perfect. She's living with me today. She's been with me for now 2 years. And it is not that we have a mother-daughter. It's more that we have a good friendship so that we can have these very uncomfortable conversations about, oh, you did that. And I said, yeah, I probably did. And I am really sorry because this is why I do it and I can change. And then through the conversation, we can then have the opportunity to not necessarily forgive, but have an understanding, because these imprints happen unintentionally, and we all do it. Everybody does. We are not doing it because we want to be cruel. It's not because we are wanting to put you down intentionally at all. It's just we react.
It's almost as if we're doing it based on our own experience to protect others whose experience might be entirely different, but if we repeat through things. It reminds me of that experiment with the monkeys where they have the sort of the group of monkeys and there's some bananas up the top of the ladder. And as the first monkey goes and sells bananas and it climbs up the ladder and gets an electric shock and therefore climbs down. And eventually what they do is they take all the monkeys out of the thing. But because the tribe, any monkey that's been zapped is removed. But because the tribe has seen it, they're projected that onto the new monkeys. Can't recall the name of the experiment, or who did it. But I know that was
yeah,
done.
no, I remember that, but I don't recall that either. A lot of similar experiments that has been made. And it is so important to just understand that we are creatures by habit. We want to fit in, and we will have learned behaviors that we will act out, say, and do unintentionally. It is important for us to realize, oh, I can change this. I can actually shift this. Be nice to ourselves, forgive ourselves, and just allow ourselves to, oh, I can do this differently.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the tools that you discovered that helped you that you now use as part of your program?
I have, number one would probably be breath work. Breath work or rebirthing, pretty much the same thing, but how to use your breath to calm your nervous system down. That then in conjunction with meditation, neuro-linguistic programming, which is NLP, is that how we reframe a negative thought to a positive. And then you have a somatic body awareness. And it's literally being aware, how am I feeling in my body? And what is my body telling me? Because if we are tuned in to how the body communicates, we can prevent the reaction. So how this works is, I can give an example. I have one client, when we first started talking, she was sitting in her room and did not go outside. She was diagnosed with a brain injury and anxiety, medicated so that she would be able to actually function. But during that very first call, unable to finish a sentence, wanting to kind of say, this is not working anymore. Why can't I think? Why can't I do? Why can't I be happy? And the first thing that we did was to teach her how to relax using the breath to calm down the nervous system. 90% of our lives, we actually go through life breathing in our chest, and we don't even realize it. Pulling the breath down into the stomach sends the signal to the brain that the body is safe, and we start to relax. That then signals the amygdala in the brain not to fire the cortisol and the fight-flight syndrome anymore, which means that we start to kind of relax. We have less adrenaline. And when we have less adrenaline in the body, the brain will start to actually function because we are not on high alert anymore. At that moment, you gain clarity. You gain peace. It's almost like your body starts to kind of just calm down, like getting into a hot bath and you're like, oh, I can be here. I can actually function. Once you have the connection back and the synapses are firing again, we start to work on the confidence to trust that you can trust yourself. So confidence and trust, because confidence is a skill that we can learn. We're not born with confidence. And then trusting that you can trust yourself builds your confidence and emphasis and really kind of builds into, oh, I can do this. I have the skill. I know how to do this, and I can make decisions. Building these building blocks of almost like a ladder that goes up, you have, oh, now I can decide this, I can do this, and actually taking actions towards your goal.
Almost like building those steps on top of each other one at a time and go, oh, if I can do this now, maybe I can do
I
that.
can actually, yeah. And she was on stage singing her own song about 2 weeks ago.
Well, what an amazing transformation for someone
That
who
is, yes.
It is right. And anxiety is one of those things that affects so many people in today's society.
Yeah.
Of all ages.
Yep.
We have
It's
this,
not discriminating.
this epidemic of anxiety, really.
Well, and part of it is social media. Part of it is that we're being bombarded with information constantly, so your brain never really relaxes. And if your brain never really relaxes, it will keep firing. So there is a disconnect between the body and the mind and the nervous system. And if you're not paying attention, I was paralyzed. It's not just that I was mentally paralyzed. I was physically paralyzed and hospitalized. And they did all the tests on this planet they could possibly do. It was like this big of everything that they could possibly, and they ended up saying, it's all in your head. And you know what? They were right. Maybe not the way you think it was, but they were.
They're implying imaginary, and you're like, well, it's not imaginary, but it is all in my head.
It was all in my body. My nervous system was so fried that it just kind of, something has got to give. And the only way it knew how to pull me back and stop me was literally to paralyze. I used to be a professional bodybuilder. I did triathlons, half marathons, and then paralyzed? That has nothing to do with whether or not you're living healthy or taking care of yourself. It is completely ignoring what your body is telling you. So burnout is a real thing. It starts up subtle. It will tell you, I'm here, shows up as a headache, making dizzy, loss of appetite, snap at your kids, alienating yourself from your spouse, high turnover in your department. Yeah, those are some of the typical signs that you'll want to pay attention to.
It's so important that one of the values that people should hold is self, isn't it? You've got to work out how you can continually refill your own well.
Yes.
Not necessarily rely on someone else to fill it, but refill your own well.
Yes, you have to.
It is all right before you keep dishing it out to other people.
Yes, you have to open up your eyes, do gratitude. What are you grateful for? I am grateful to have a roof over my head. I have a window. I was homeless. I am still grateful after 17 years. I still appreciate I have a roof over my head. I have a window. That's gratitude. Be grateful for what you've got and start your day. Say, okay, what's the word of the day? Today is going to be exciting. Why? Well, draw your own day. Write it down. start the day on the right note and take a deep breath and just, there's so many things I have so many tools, tips and tricks that I can offer.
I love that. And I know you've got a free resource on your website, but let's talk now about your system. My mouse has gone flat, so I can't quickly tab across to my notes there. Tell me about your system, about how you attract, convert, and retain clients. I know you, in your content, and you use a lot of content, but it's very story driven. Tell me more about that.
Well, do you want to start out how I attract clients?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. Number one is probably referral. The number one is referral. It is the word of mouth. I work with I am here today. This is what I got out of it. This is why you should try it out. That is number one. Number two is I do public speaking. And I share stuff like I do here with you. I am the voice for those who cannot. So I am part of different nonprofit organizations in my local area to support individuals who are going through their own trauma. So it's not just me making a profit. It is also for me to be available for those who are showing up at a shelter, showing up at the police department. And that is another avenue of me attracting, being a resource for the hospitals, for the doctors, and say, I'm available. That is another avenue that I'm attracting some of my clients.
I think those of you ticked the top two for most professional services, allied health services as well. It's referral and speaking. Oddly enough, we spend so much of our time and energy and resources in our business on the 20% of everything else, don't we? Right? So we spend a ton of time on social media, social media and content creation and all that sort of stuff.
I have my resilience code. I know it works. I have done it for now 10 years. Total, I have been doing this for over 20 years with a gap in between doing a few other things, which is really, really beneficial for my own growth and for my own realization of, the internal resilience, it's about continuous growth. And I know I do not reinvent. I use all of my tools, clinical psychology, kinesiology, NLP, whatever it is. I have studied so many different things. Some of it will work with you and some of it will not. So depending upon where you're coming from, and if I don't have the right tool, I will send you somewhere else because your well-being is the most important for me.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk conversion. If someone's interested, they get a referral to you, right? How do you work in helping people? I mean, let's talk, someone says, okay, they see you on stage, they listen to a podcast like this show and go, you know what? I think that's something that I need.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe I've tried some things before, maybe I haven't. What's your system for converting clients?
So what I do is that I walk you through the steps and I find out where you're at. And I will say, well, you have 3 options. Depending upon the conversations that I've had with you, I will make recommendations and say, well, you have a pretty good grasp of what's going on, where you want to go. So we can do a 4 months, but then I also have 6 and 9. You sign up either for 4, 6, or 9 months, and people, why do it at 6 or 9? Well, the difference between 6 and 9 months and 4 months is that the 4 months, I can give you the foundation and you will get all the tools that you will need to get to the next step. But you're going to need to take it through to the end game. The way that I work with you, depending upon what package that you would choose, we will meet on a weekly basis for 60 to 90 minutes. 60 minutes is one-on-one, and then 30 minutes, depending upon what's going on, text message, phone call, email, whatever is going on. So we meet on a weekly basis. You will have access to me 24/7 for that duration of time, because what happens about halfway through, you're going to want to run away. And it's really important that I, as your accountability partner at that point, because your experience becomes personal. It's you experience everything. So about 2 months into it, you're going to hit the wall and you're going to come out on the other side. So it is once a week for about 4 months. And then I take you through step by step. Month number 1 is literally teaching you how to use the breath, teaching you the different tools that you need, which is specific for you, because I can teach you one that is generic and inhale for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. That may not be the right technique for somebody else. So it will be tailored to what's going on in your life. I will teach you neuro-linguistic programming conversations with yourself to rewrite the personal lie. We will get into the details, the itty-bitty gritty details, the nasty part of this personal law that we tell ourselves in our narratives in month number 2. And you're going to start to kind of write everything out, and you're going to say, yeah, I can write, that's not a problem. And you will literally have so much of a resistance that your hand will go numb. At the end of month 2, we will move into, depending upon where you're at, the confidence part. Start making small decisions. It can be, what am I going to wear today? What am I going to make for dinner today? But you're making the decision to do it. It's not going into your closet and just kind of have a look and say, okay, I'm going to walk in and see what jumps on. No, I'm going to walk in and make a conscious decision as to what it is that I want to do. I help you prepare for meetings at work so that you can show up with confidence and trust that I am not going to start this jittery. I'm not going to get anxious. I will have the tools to calm myself down. In about 4 days, I will be talking to a public speaker group and give them tools. How do I show up on stage and still feel calm? I'm going to be nervous. Nervousness is normal. The difference between excitement and anxiety is so close, but being nervous is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just knowing how to show up. So I will coach you, but not so much, because you need to coach yourself as well. You're responsible for your own results. I become your accountability partner. Once you start getting into some of those underlying traumatic experiences that are the true drivers, that is where we get to around month 3. That's where we're getting into how to use the breath. You know how to use the rewrite of your thoughts. You know how to manage. Now you're just going to have to do it. It's no longer.
You've got some tools to then equip as you start to unpack.
It's just
Give you the tips first before we start unpacking the trauma.
It's
as
just
opposed to unpack the trauma. Away you
they
go.
come.
By the way, now
Except it's just at that point they come, because starting to actually work on your anxiety and calm your nervous system down, they will start to surface. What I do is that I help you become aware. Where are you feeling it? How are you feeling it? Be aware that you're feeling it. Be aware that you get angry. Why are you angry? Why are you furious? Why are you so frustrated? What's behind that thought? Why do you hate them so much? Where is this coming from? It's not the story. It becomes about, why are you feeling this way? It's not psychology, because I don't care about the narrative. Neither should you, because once you get further down into the detail, you will be able to move out from it. A good comparison could be, you went to school, right? You know that 2 and 2 is 4. You know that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back to school to learn that. What if I were to tell you that one of my clients were taught that 2 and 2 is actually 5? And every time she would say, no, it's 4, she would be slapped across the floor and told, no, that's not right. That left a very deep sense in her, is that I'm going to school. Everybody else is saying that it is 4, but I am not allowed to agree. How do you show up? The shame, the blame, the fury, and the anger go all the way back. And that's where you can use NLP timelines to go in and grab the feeling from when you were younger and give it back to yourself as an adult.
Sounds like that AI experiment, getting it to spill. Tell me how many R's there are in strawberry with the 2.
Yeah. It's just, as we go through, trauma will come up, and I will be there to help you use whatever tool, but the breath is going to be the king and queen of everything that you do.
Let's talk real quick. I just want to talk about the packages.
Yes.
How have you always used packages when you're selling your products, your
Yes.
solution? How do you think they make a difference for people?
How do they make a difference? They have the choice. Nobody likes to be told what to do.
Yeah. I know if I go back years ago, my first social media platform, which was way back in 2000, I think in 2001, we introduced advertising as a cash flow sort of thing off the back of the stuff we were building. And this is before digital marketing. Digital marketing was not a word that people used. Online advertising, no one knew what a pixel was. No one knew what an impression was and stuff like that. And I remember one of the things I did probably late 2001, maybe, I'm guessing here, was change the way we offered our solutions from bespoke for everybody to packages. And in that case, you could choose different size ads, you could choose animated or non-animated, you could choose the number of impressions that you wanted to do, you can choose where on the page those ads showed up, you can choose on which pages those showed up on, all sorts of stuff. And I think what I found that people would in an area that people didn't really understand anyway, the overwhelming too much choice was actually impacting my sales. And just by putting 3 packages in that says, here's the small business package and here's the medium business package and here's the big one, the brand dominance package. I can't remember what called it, something like that. Increased my sales 300%.
Wow.
So it's interesting to see that you've almost inadvertently fallen on this anyway to say we've got a 4, 6 and 9 month package to go, how much support do you need, and actually make it easy for someone to choose which one they want, when ultimately you could be doing the same things, like how much breath work, how many hours am I available, what course materials do you have access and not access to, how many times do we meet or not meet. And I think every business has this opportunity to kind of do the bespoke customization of all the components of the things that they can potentially do, but putting them into packages actually makes it much easier for a client to then go, I'm going to be directed at that one. I'm going to be directed at that one.
Well, another reason for why I do packages is that I have a limited amount of time, and I only see this many clients a week. Once you hit the cap, you're going to have to get on a wait list. So that's another reason I kind of structure.
And I tell my clients, I'm only available 17 by 7, because if you call me at 4 a.m. in the morning, I am not available. I will be asleep.
Actually, most of my clients do not call outside of regular office hours. And it is about respect, because I want to respect them as much as they will respect me. And those boundaries is part of what they learn. And that is, I will always respect you. I will always love you. I will always be honest with you. And if you choose to lie to yourself, that's your choice, but I'm still going to be here.
Yeah. No, I love that. I want to move on just to a bit of a quick fire now. And I know you've got some other tools in terms of how you deliver things, like Calendly, which we'll talk about shortly, and so on, to make scheduling much easier. And even something just like using Calendly saves you time, because you go, here's my link, you go and find the time. As opposed to the back and forth each time you book an appointment.
I use Calendly. I send them a link and I find the one that works best for you. What I do, once they sign up for a package, we block a specific time during the day, the same time every week. Things happen. They may postpone, they may shift it around, but they get the link. They can go in and they can choose it.
Yeah.
Calendly is so much easier.
We don't value, I think as business owners, we don't value our time often enough. And to use little systems like that, where it would be a regular schedule or a calendar link to say it works for you, to make it easier and save, it doesn't seem like much. It's probably a minute, maybe 2 minutes of effort time, right? But we're doing it 20, 30 times a week, right? So there's 30 minutes times 52. It really starts to add up a lot, and say, what's a whole week in a year of just going back and forth scheduling things?
Yeah, nope, I am not doing that. I am not spending time on scheduling at all. I send them a link and they can pick their time. I don't run after you. I'm here. You can grab the time. And if you choose not to, I also have my cancellation policy. It's pretty straightforward.
Love that. Love that. Let's do this. Let's do some quick fire. You have an interesting accent.
Yes.
There's a few Australian twangs in there. You have been to Australia. How long did you spend out here?
I spent a complete year in Australia, but I also lived in Great Britain and the southern part of the United States. I'm Danish and studied in Cambridge. So that O and the A, I can't let go of it.
Not let go.
Isn't it just there?
Love that. What's the most important lesson that you've learned over your career?
Consistency, honesty.
What time of day do you get your best work done?
It's typically early in the morning. I am at the best between like 6 o'clock in the morning and 10 a.m.
Are you a jump out of bed, get straight into it? Wake up, start work.
I cannot. I love getting up in the morning. It's nice. It's quiet. It's everybody's it's the best time of the day. I love early mornings. It's so nice and quiet. I love it.
Nice. What's your favorite productivity hack for entrepreneurs?
My favorite productivity hack, business or pleasure?
Either.
That's a good question. Favorite? Boy, I love knitting. For work, it would need to be public speaking. I really enjoy public speaking. That is my productivity hack. Practicing, going through my talks, I really enjoy doing it.
What do you know now that you wish you knew when you started out in business?
Honestly, don't care about what other people think about you, because what I want is none of their business.
How would your daughter describe what it is you do?
How would my daughter describe what I do? She would say it is your opportunity to move past your own anxiety and move into your confidence.
Yeah, I love that. If you were to write a book tomorrow, what would you write about?
Well, I'm working on my autobiography because my story is helpful for other people. It will give them hope.
Yeah. What gives you the motivation to keep going?
To see other people thrive.
We'll wrap up there. Thanks, Dharma, for sharing your journey with us, some of the techniques that you use that I think they're good skills for just about anyone to have, whether they're trying to overcome trauma or not, but fantastic skills to lead a more balanced, resilient, tolerant life that I think everyone should learn at some point. Now, if you enjoyed today's show, please like, share, follow, and so on. Now, we've got some stuff here. I know, you've got a great resource. I believe it's on your website called the 10 Power Tools for Stress Relief and Clarity. That from your website as well. You can look Hammer up on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. We'll put those links in the show notes below this thing as well. And if you want to jump on a call and have a chat, calendly.com, spiritual dynamics /complimentary-30-min. Right, again, we'll put that link in the show notes as well, so you can jump on a call and maybe get some help and direction and understand some of your traumas and limiting beliefs that are holding you back from living a more fulfilled life. Thanks so much for jumping on today's show. And to our listeners, thank you again. We will catch you again real soon.